Always had a kind of eclectic career and background. I started as a visual artist, as a painter, became a photographer, have had a long career as a video artist, which continues to this day. I've made a whole body of experimental work that's ranging from a minute to 45 minutes. It was never a choice to wait so long to direct another film. There are several films I developed with Killer Films. One was a film about the relationship between Patti Smith and Robert Mapplethorpe that didn't happen. Another film was based on a rock band called the Monks that didn't happen for a variety of reasons. I also chosen, which is probably not so typical as a director, to produce other work. So I was a producer on Go Fish, and I shot Indie Warhol, two pieces of work I'm super proud of. And in the interim, whatever, I've done, experimental short films, narrative short films, including a film called Plain Pleasures with Fran McDormand and Lily Taylor and Will Patton. And Savage Grace was always a passion project. Christine, many, many years ago, gave me this book. We share a sort of unhealthy love of nonfiction true crime books that are usually sort of cheesy, awful books with terrible, shocking pictures. And we'd say, oh my God, the pictures. This one was really well written, super memorable. Christine had read it and thought it was strong material. We tried to put the movie together pretty quickly after Swoon, actually. That, for whatever reason, didn't happen. Pursued those other projects, and then sort of the wheel came full circle and was still interested, passionate really about making Savage Grace, so it was started again. And that was maybe about 4 years ago, and that cycle led to the movie.
Probably in 1991 that I gave Tom the book. I just had picked it up probably, just like at a bookstore. And I gave it to him to read, and we started talking about what a great movie it would make. Then Swoon came out. It did quite well. It particularly did well in the UK. And when I was in the UK, I started talking to a UK-based company, which was actually, believe it or not, Andrew Lloyd Webber's film company. But there was a guy there whose name was Toby Moorcroft, who had also read and loved the book. And at that moment, Tom was getting a lot of attention, and we optioned the book together. I didn't have a company yet. I didn't have development money yet. I didn't have any of those things. So it seemed like the right thing to do. We then, Really Useful Group actually paid for a script to be written. But the script was so far away from anything Tom or I thought we'd ever want to make that we decided to abandon not the project, but that method, that particular way to the screen. And then, as Tom said, other things happened. We let the rights lapse, but, funnily enough, there wasn't a huge line to get to them. So when we came back, when it finally seemed like, okay, Tom was ready to do it. Meanwhile, I'd been working a lot with Julianne Moore, and it became clear, there's nobody else in the world to play this part, and we better hurry up and make it. While she's, still young enough to do it. So that was really what happened, is at that point then we started to focus on it again.
Tom's work and had been a huge admirer of Tom's work, and we had some mutual friends. I'd known Christine glancingly socially, and on occasion there'd been this sort of, we should find something to work on together, which is, it's sort of like we must have lunch, that and $2 gets you a Metro card. But I think what happened was I was fortunate enough to be on Christine's radar when they were looking for a writer the second time for this, and in essence, Christine set me up with Tom for what was something between a date and an audition. And we talked and talked and talked and talked and talked and talked, and it just became clearer and clearer that the way we saw the movie that was inherent in this book was, similar enough for us to be able to work together, but not so identical that there wouldn't be something interesting going on. And then, Tom basically thought about it and said, yeah, you can do this. And I was just thrilled, and I've been thrilled ever since.
With it, I was sent the script a couple of years before we shot it, actually, and there are very rare moments for me when you read a script and you can kind of only hear your voice saying it, and it's happened twice for me in my life. One was in Savage Grace, and one was in an Edward Albee play called The Goat, and I read it and instantly kind of leapt at the opportunity to try for it. I auditioned for it and got the part, I think. Although, but then the financing sort of fell through for a year, and then came back again the next year and got it. And it was the most. It was one of those things where, you know, because it's a controversial subject matter and a difficult film to sort of put together. It was one of those things that I just genuinely in my heart wanted to happen. And having done a screen test with Julie, in which she was just, you know, throwing this stuff out there, it was something that I was completely impassioned about.